The Navajo Tale in the Beginning is brought to you by Not a Prophet Org, the place on the internet to find spiritual guidance powered by artificial intelligence. Now White Bead Woman took out her Mirage Quartz Rock stock, and she said, "You can have them now, for you have learned to care for stock." She gave them horses and goats also. Here is a song used now to increase the numbers of sheep. Along with this song, medicine is given, which is the important thing. The medicine is sprinkled on the sheep or put in their mouths. They call this song Hold It Up, for the sheep, which along with the medicine makes the sheep increase. It is this medicine that actually increases the sheep. This is the same idea that is used by the whites and Mexicans to increase their flocks by medicine rather than by songs. The medicine is secret, and there are two kinds which are given to the animals. Sheep's song to increase their numbers, the dawn boy, the black-mouthed youngster. From here I am holding the lambs for them. Darkness is his home, dawn is the door cover. From here I am holding the lambs for them. Property is before the doorway. From here I am holding the lambs for them. Chips of different stone before the doorway. All kinds of horses before the doorway. From here I am holding the lambs for them. All kinds of sheep before the doorway. From here I am holding the lambs for them. Game animals before the doorway. From here I am holding the lambs for them. Laborer before the doorway. From here I am holding the lambs for them. Immorta I and happiness I am. White Bead Woman waited as long as she did to have the boys prove themselves capable. The two twins were given these things by White Bead Woman. This is where they began to raise horses and sheep. The twins got the feather from the sun, and he told them White Bead Woman had received everything from him. The battle at Blue House this story took place at Tough, Flint or Hard Flint, place where the old lady Bat Woman took her grandchildren. This story is about the Bat Woman who took the twin down from Shiprock. This story is used in time of war, for if a person knows this story, he has the power to be successful in war. The war twins were trying to get in a war with another tribe, the No-Bo, Ninemi people Anabikinadini. These people lived on the other side of Mount Taylor, TS letter 1, E5, 3D Zil, which is to the south of this place above Farmington. At this place there were two rivers that come together at Blue House and Pointed Rock, or which is called Rockin, the middle of the river. All of these names were called for this place. In this general area was where the enemy tribe lived. The first war, Twin and his companions gathered before the war started. He had enlisted anyone who was in good condition and who would go to the battlefield. All his companions went over to the place with three names and fought. The first twin lost the battle and lost all of his companions. If this had not happened, then we would lose no men on the battlefield now. He once again went out and gathered many men, and this time they were numbered by the hundreds. Again the twins started out to fight. He went over there 4 times to battle at Blue House. Each time the battle took place at Blue House, and each time the men were destroyed. Then first twin went out and recruited more men. Before the 5th battle, the twin got help from the Bat Woman. He got help from the Hard Flint people, and the headquarters for the Bat Woman was at the Tough or Hard Flint clan. Between the two entrances, where the rivers come together, were fought 4 mighty battles. The friends of the twins were insects, birds, animals, or any people that wanted to fight. They were still people, but they had these animals' characteristics. Later they turned into the insects, birds, or animals which they represented. The first war, Twin sent out a message to the Bat Lady and told her he needed help. The reason the twins went to the Bat Woman was because they were more friendly to Bat Woman than to the enemy, like England is to us. If she had not been friendly, she would not have helped the twin off of the rock. The old lady had some warriors, and she told them to go to war over at Rockin, the middle of the river, to help the first twin. All had a meeting about the war before they left to get instructions at the twins' headquarters. One turtle was sitting on the left side, south side of the Hogan entrance, and a frog was on the right or north side during the meeting. The turtle was like we are, yet having clothes of shell for protection like a turtle does now. The frog was still human, but with a fat stomach, fat throat, and narrow bulging eyes. The final meeting before the war was in the hogan. All of the warriors who were like us, and not yet animals, were there. Everyone was quiet and gave the war twin his chance to speak. The war twin's party and Batwoman's party both had a meeting, although in separate groups. A decision was made to go on the warpath. The frog said, "You should have told us before there was a war. Talk about it, and while it is being settled, we will be going on ahead. We are very slow, and we will start traveling towards the enemy. We will do this while the other side is getting ready." Batwoman's children were the Flint Boys of the Flint clan. Frog and Turtle were asked what they were waiting for before they went on the warpath. The frog said, "This is what I like to hear. We will walk. We are not very fast runners. We will go ahead, taking our time to the war." The frog and Turtle were on the side of the war twin. The frog and Turtle were really fast travelers, and they just said this for fun. They traveled on a rainbow spectrum to the enemy's camp. The frog and Turtle started in the evening so as to not be left behind. The Batwoman's people were the hard Flint Boys, and they were preparing for this war. The war twin and his men were at Reversible Mountain. The Turtle and Frog were at the twins' hogan. The two friends, Frog and Turtle, started in the evening, and soon came to a large pit of water, where the enemy got their water. The Turtle and Frog had gotten ready for battle before they left the twins' hogan. The Turtle had put on hard shell and hard clothing. That is why people nowadays wear steel helmets and armor plates. This is where they got the design. At the bottom of the pit or hole was a well. To get to this well was a trail going around and around the side of the pit. The two friends climbed down the trail and got into the water and began to swim around. In the morning, as it became light, two unmarried girls came down into the pit with cups to get water. They dipped their cups into the water twice. Suddenly, the Frog and Turtle grabbed the girls and then smiled. The Turtle said, "Get inside my shell," to one of the girls. Then the Frog said, "Get under my arms," to the other girl. After the two had grabbed the girls and told them to get under their clothes, the girls smiled. All four of them then went into the water. Later, the enemy wondered about the girls, and one of the enemy warriors came around to find where they were. When the warrior got down to the well, he only found the jugs the girls had carried. He yelled for the other warriors to come and help him. That is why the Hopi, when something goes wrong, holler for help now. These enemy were cliff dwellers or Anasazi. When many warriors arrived, they moved towards the well. They searched, but could not find the girls. They decided that the girls had to be here somewhere, and so they decided to empty the well. The warriors stood in a line, some in the water and some on the bank. They passed the girls' jugs out full of water. When all of the water was emptied out of the well, they found only 2 men and no girls. The enemy leaders said, "Get those 2 men out of the bottom, and we will kill them. They must be the ones who killed the girls." Some of the men laid a woven blanket out at the bottom of the well and pushed the men on top of it. 12 unmarried men stood on the one side of the blanket and 12 unmarried women on the other side, the left, and pulled the 2 men out of the hole. The leader spoke again, "Kill those 2 men." The enemy had axes, and the Frog said to his friend, the Turtle, "I am afraid I am going to be killed." In reply, the Turtle said, "I am not afraid of what is going to happen." Meanwhile, the other 2 groups of the army of Twin and the army of the Batwoman's clan were moving in on the enemy. When the enemy grabbed for their axes, the Turtle said to his friend, "Get under my shell." When the Frog got inside the Turtle's shell, the Turtle began to move his body as the enemy chopped at him. The axes slipped off of his shell, and the men cut off their own legs and arms. They were having a tough time trying to kill those 2. The enemy was using a loose axe, which was a stone axe, and was not tied very strong. This continued on all day long until sundown. All were still fighting one another at the enemy's camp. Meanwhile, the Twins and Batwoman's people were moving in slowly, for the distance was great. They were also afraid, and that is why they went slow. In the enemy camp, the leaders said at last, "We cannot do anything about the Turtle. Let us put him in a pot and boil him." By now, the friends of the Frog and Turtle were just a little distance away. The enemy put water to boil all night. Towards morning, when the morning star came out, the frog said, "I am getting worried again." The turtle once again answered, "I am not worried about what is going to happen." When the two were placed inside the container, the pot split into pieces. While all this was taking place, the dawn began to break. The enemy did not know what to do, and they finally said, "We will have to take them back to our house in the middle of the river." This was near the rock in the middle of the river. They lived where the ground was in the open. There they held dances. The enemy took Frog and Turtle inside the village. When they arrived, they said, "Let us build a big hole and make a fire. We will make it big, and then we will throw Frog and Turtle inside." The turtle was put under a lot of wood, and the fire was started. The fire was started at the 4 directions. Once again, friends were afraid, but this time Turtle said, "I am really afraid I am going to be killed." Frogman said, "I am not afraid of what is going to happen." While this was going on, the twins' group was moving quietly, but the others, belonging to Bat Woman's clan, were making a lot of noise. As the Flint clan moved along, they hit each other and made sparks. Lots of noise came from their armor. The twin argued with them and tried to keep them quiet. As the two groups moved closer towards the enemy, the noise became greater and greater. There was only the first twin here, for the other was home with the prayer stick and White Bead Woman. The twin, his army, and his allies were camped about 1.5 miles from each other. The Flint people enjoyed the outing they were having. The twin got mad because of the noise they were making. The war twin became more and more angry because of the war. The next morning the armies of the allies met. The headman of the Flint Boys was talked to by the war twin, who said, "Why make so much noise when we go to war?" When the Flint headman came forth, he became very angry. All of the clan gathered around making sparks by hitting each other and making lights as if they were tracers or rockets. The Flint headman said, "If you are such a hero, why do you ask for help and go so quietly to war?" The war twin replied angrily, "Shut up and stay quiet," but could do nothing with them. The Bat Woman was proud of her clan making so much noise. She was proud of her Flint grandsons showing their courage and power. In the enemy camp all the wood that was left was gathered, and a fire was built. After the fire was started, the 2 animals were put into it. From the twins' camp could be seen the fire. From this time it was said, "When you see a fire at night, it foretells evil, sickness, and disease." In the morning the twins' army was divided into groups, and all started out to find the enemy. In all 4 directions, all watched the fire to tell the direction to go. At the camp the enemy left, for they thought the frog and turtle would be dead by morning. They went away that day, and in the morning when they came back, there was water all over, and ashes were floating on top of the water. This time the enemy really got mad and said, "We will build a fire all day." The friends of the 2 animals were still moving in. The twin did not move forward when he saw the fire going that night again, but left the next morning. Once again all the warriors got together and were ready to move in. After the fire had been going all day, the enemy was ready once again to try and cook the frog and turtle, and unknown to them, the 2 girls. It was evening, and the Flints and the twins' groups were moving in together towards the enemy, but very slowly. This is the same during the war, when they move very carefully and not quickly to the enemy. So this is the reason why armies move slowly now. The friends were now camping together, and the Flint people were having fun hitting each other and making sparks. The twin said nothing, but just took out his tobacco and started smoking to control himself. Back in the enemy camp, Frog and Turtle were put inside of a hole with wood and rock put on top of the hole so they could not get out. Again a fire was lighted underneath the 2 friends. Turtle said, "I am afraid of what is going to happen." After the fire had started, the enemy went away and said, "They will burn up now." The next morning they came back, and the whole place was soaked all over with lots of water. The rock that had been on top of the 2 strangers was floating, and the frog and turtle were underneath in the water. When the people saw this, they became very angry again and said, "We will throw them off the highest cliff, and that will certainly kill them." By now the Flint people and the twins people were moving in a file as small groups. The frog and turtle were once again taken on the woven rug and taken to a high cliff near Pointed Rock. Beneath the cliff stood a small body of water. The whole camp started to go with the warriors to see that frog and turtle finally doomed. The enemy were singing and pounding on a drum as they traveled along. The plan was that the frog and the turtle were to be pushed off of the cliff and hit their heads below and break them open. The men and women got hold of the rug and swung it 4 times, and the frog said, "I am really afraid I am going to be killed." The turtle once again said, "I am not afraid of what is going to happen." He then told the frog what he was supposed to do. The frog went underneath the shell of the turtle. Just as the frog did this, they were thrown over the cliff by the men and women holding the rug. They went down the cliff with the turtle's shell whistling as the wind went through it. Just as they were to hit the ground, the turtle floated off like a feather and barely missed hitting the rocks. He floated on and away and went towards the water. The turtle floated in the air until he dropped into the water. The frog got out of the shell, and the two swam back to the shore of the small body of water, away from the cliff. When they got to the shore, the turtle took out the girl he had under his shell and said, "Here are your girls, whoever you are." Covering her body were white bead earrings, bracelets, beads, and decorations. The frog did the same to the girl he had hidden and said, "Here are your girls, whoever you are." The two said this to whomever those 2 girls had belonged to. The reason the girls had been able to be hidden in such a small space as they had been was because the gods had made them this size by their power. The girl that the frog had hidden had turquoise all over her. Her hair hung clear down to the ground. The turtle said, "This is the last time you are going to see these girls." All 4 of them got on a rainbow spectrum and went to where the twin and his armies were. When they got to the lines of the Flints and Twins' army, the enemy became very angry because of their escape. They were also unhappy because of the loss of the girls. In between the army of the Allies came the enemy, angry because of the insults given to them. This began the mighty battle. All of the enemy were killed except the headman, who was captured. According to what happened then, enemies are now captured in battle. The girls were kept as was promised by the frog and turtle, and the victors went back to their homes. White Bead Woman story. This story only tells about the Mirage Quartz Rock people, Zadaksoni Yi Daine. The frogman was a Mirage Quartz Rock man. He was made out of Mirage Quartz Rock. He belonged to the Mirage Quartz Rock clan. The son had intercourse with a Mirage Quartz Rock woman and had a child. The woman was like us, and yet she belonged to this clan. The son saw women and liked them. If someone tells stories about you, a woman will look for you and grab you. This was the same with the son. F.G. Frogman raised all kinds and colors of horses, sheep, and goats, and he had given some animals to the twins. White Bead Woman had given, at this time, 5 different colors of sheep to her sons, white, blue, black, yellow, and spotted. Near where the twins lived were some black birds the size of a robin, bluebirds that live in the pinions, pinion jays. Bluebirds, another small bird the size of a chickadee, blackbirds, yellow canaries, blue canaries, white and black canaries, and red canaries. All of these were couples who had children. They were birds that looked like people. This thing happened at a sound in the earth or rolling ground nixo de ka. These 2 names mean the same as black, white, blue, yellow spot, and all describe the same place. These people had feathers for clothes. A barn lark, Dibney, also lived there and even now comes back at lambing time. When you hear these birds, the mountain sheep begin to lamb. Same thing will happen if you hear a robin. The birds lived near the corral of the twins, where they could tell where the stock and sheep were. They were the ones who had put up the corral and listened to the south to tell where the sheep were. One time the sheep did not return to the corral. These birds could hear nothing, and so started gazing at the stars to see what they could see. These birds, the robins, gray birds, sparrows, and others listened for the stock. Soon the stock came in because of the hope and prayers of the bird people. Later the birds prayed for all of the sheep which had not come in. These birds were the ones who made the corral for the animals. The birds lived and sang there. Once they heard the sheep making noise, and they came into the corral to see what was the matter. Inside the corral the birds prayed for the stock to return. Suddenly the birds turned into half sheep and half man, because they had gotten so excited when they heard the sheep go into the corral. Only one of the robins, one of the big blackbirds, and 2 other birds, one of which was a gray sparrow, did not change into these animals. All of the others turned into these strange beings. These 4 bird persons sang on these animals that had changed because of their excitement into the strange-looking animals. Some of them were changed into sheep with 2 heads. Some were sheep only from the chest down. Some had arms as sheep, but the rest human. Some had human heads and sheep tails. There are animal people seen in circuses now like that. This is the reason people are born like this now, because of what happened in those early days. Sheep with 6 legs, and all other kinds of strange beings. The four birds sang and prayed for these people to change back into birds, so they could talk and fly and yet still remain bird gods. After the prayer was finished, all of the strange ones were turned back into birds as they were before. This all happened at the time of lambing, and because of this the lambs were born as mountain sheep, deer, and antelope. This will happen in the future to foretell evil things that will take place. If you see such things happen, you will know. This is what was said. It foretells evil things and definite things to happen in life. You will have to have a sing to get rid of such evil. When robins come around and sing nowadays, it is time for the lambing of the mountain sheep and regular sheep, but not for any of the other animals. This all happened in the past, and that is why many of the things that happen now were foretold by the gods. A robin, which comes around in the summer rather than spring, and is almost the same color, was told by these other bird gods to see if the lambs were getting their milk. So the robin went out and came back and said that they were sipping or nipping. That is why birds chirp and say T-O-T-O-T-O-T, ba T-O-T-O-T-O. These bird people kept all kinds of animals. That is the reason they got all kinds of sheep with all colors. The other stories are not right about the sheep and the government, i.e., that the Navajo first got the sheep from the government before the days of Fort Sumner. The Navajo did not get their sheep from the Spaniards or Pueblos. There is a period of time when the Navajo did not know what happened to the sheep after the bird. People captured some and after the time of Fort Sumner. From this point of the story is much argument as to what happened to the sheep, who cared for them, and where they came from. White Bead Woman, the sun, said to the two war twins, "Go to your mother, and get her to go to the west to the ocean. This is so I can see my wife." White Bead Woman from now on. The sun had asked her himself, but White Bead Woman had said, "I will be lonesome there all by myself, and I will become homesick." This is why the sun said to the twins, "I will give all my things, all you want, all my possessions, if you get her to go there. I have done many things for you. Now repay me for my kindness. Go tell your mother to go to the west." This is what the sun said to his sons. The sun had many wives besides her, but White Bead Woman was jealous. That is why she did not want to go. The sun was not coming to see every day, but only once a week. The twins went to see their mother, but still White Bead Woman did not want to go to the west even then. All of the rest of the gods tried to help the twins have their mother go to the west. Still she refused to go. There was one man that did not know all of this excitement was taking place. This god was very strong, so everyone decided to let him try to make White Bead Woman go west. The gods said, "We will have him try." This god was Zastcheshini, the black flint or fire god. None of the people had fire, only this Zastcheshini, for he was the fire god. He would rub a stick that had been rubbed in some rocks and make fire. This was a type of a match, and this was the first time and place matches were made. The idea came from here for people to make matches today. All around the home of Black God was coal burning instead of firewood. The old man was told to go and tell White Bead Woman to go west. He went to her and said, "How come all of your children tell you to go west to your husband, but you still don't want to go? Why?" He tried his best to try and make her go, but she still would not leave her home. At last he got desperate and said, "If you don't want to go to the west, all of the earth and gods shall be burned up." He got angrier and finally took his weapon out to start the fire. It was a rock torch. This fire was to start all over the world and would be so bad that even the water would catch on fire. Black God struck the two rocks together, or rather ground them, and they began to smoke. After he had done this only twice, the woman stopped him. If he had done this for 4 times, everything on earth would have burned up. After this she started to cry and put her arms around the old man and said she would go to the west forever. White Bead Woman gathered all of her property in a white bead basket and prayed to supreme sacred wind for all of the animals and seed plants. The seeds and plants prayed for fell into the basket, and the animals gathered outside of her hogan. At this time White Bead Woman received another name, receive, things, in her hand, X imacron L letter 1, Ea Fkia Jai. Because of this, some of the animals she put into her basket, and some who were left over had to walk. The cattle had been made out of Mirage Quartz Rock by White Bead Woman. She took Mirage Quartz Rock powder and water and molded them into the right shape and size. When she placed them in water, they became alive. They were told, "You will be dangerous, and even your voices will be danger." but you will be used for good. You are to be used by the earth people. She had it in her mind to do things this way. The supreme sacred wind did not tell her to do this. These cattle were placed in baskets of white shell. When White Bead Woman traveled west, she took out a male and female cattle and put them in the spring at Fierce Water Spring at Pasture Canyon. No others, not her sons or the Sun or Frogman, had any cattle. These cattle were for all the earth people. Besides the animals in the basket, she placed inside seeds, nuts, berries, and roots. Her basket was made out of shell and had a finish on top of it. Just like the marriage basket, these baskets of all 5 colors are still in the ocean where they were left by White Bead Woman. Some of the animals were left over and could not be carried in basket, so they followed her to the west. As she started to the west, there was an earthquake. The earth at this time was still just like water underneath when she started from her New Mexican home. White Bead Woman spent a night at Red Mesa, near where Tuba City, Arizona, is now. While she was spending the night there with her animals, they moved around in a circle and would not settle down. White Bead Woman made 3 posts out of black rock. These are the rocks that are found near where Tuba City is now called Black Butte, another near Navajo Mountain called Wildcat Butte, and one in Colorado called Black Post Butte. The mountain by the Gap, Arizona, was beautiful and in one long piece at this time. The animals were so numerous that they wore this mountain down by going over it so many times, and that is why it looks like that today. Another part of it, to the southwest of Navajo Mountain, was worn down by their crossing over it so many times too. The animals were thus enclosed by these mountains and the Little and Big Colorado rivers. After the animals became calm during the night, she went to the canyon where the water meets from the 2 great rivers. It was here, at the junction of the Colorado rivers, that Salt Woman was created. She was created from the water washing back and forth against the rock or soil of a mountain. From the salty foam she was created as if it were intercourse. Salt Woman was created long before White Bead Woman, and they were not related even by clan. There is a story about Salt Woman at the junction of the Colorado rivers where she was created. Near there is a hill which is of rocks shaped like a hogan. In the center of this is a hole which has water inside. This water never overflows the hole, and 2 ladders reach up from this water to within 3 feet of the top. If this hole looks black, there will be lots of rain. There were gods that came up with Salt Woman in a cane like the other gods in New Mexico. There is a salt trail which has a marker to show where it is. Here is the hole which the Hopi claim as theirs. There is a jackass hoofprint made by some of the Salt Woman's animals as she drove them out of the hole to the west side of Shadow Mountain. She became warm and threw the sweat from her forehead, and it made the soil salty there. She continued up the Little Colorado Canyon and left a finger mark there upon the wall. When everything is good upon the earth, the mark is new. If it is old, then things are evil in the world. It was there at the junction of the rivers that Salt Woman and White Bead Woman met. Salt Woman drove on to Shadow Mountain, while White Bead Woman later drove on to the west. Salt Woman went on to Winslow, Hallbrook, Salt Orishi, Arizona. There is a lake or reservoir that people can get salt from. Salt Woman now lives there. After you get salt from the junction or the salt lake, should you look back or jiggle the load or try to adjust the pack, it will become heavier and heavier. It will also become heavier as you continue to walk on. White Bead Woman sat there by the bank and then stepped back from the water. She then made a fire and prepared to stay the night. There is a gap down in the canyon where this happened. As she sat there, there appeared a fine young man out of the water called Seahorse. This man looked like a horse, yet was a man. She spent a night with this man upon ground which was solid or hard. The next morning, White Bead Woman had blood coming from her vagina, and this was the first period or menstruation in the world. The animals outside of her basket were later lost because of this infidelity. She left there as a gift to this man salt, shell, turquoise, jet, white bead, oyster shell, and red shell. These things are still there to this day. These gifts were all for this man. After she had done this, she urinated into the Little Colorado, and that is why it is now red as it runs into the Big Colorado. The next morning she went back to the top of the mountain, where she had left all of her animals. As she got to the top of the mountain, she found all of her animals gone. On the west of Cedar Ridge is a mountain that was originally the escaped wild sheep from the herds of White Bead Woman. All of the wild sheep and most of the animals who escaped later turned into mountains. All of these animals that did not turn into mountains went into the Kaibab forest and are still there. That is the reason there are so many game animals there now. Near the joining of the two rivers is another gap where White Bead Woman went across with the few animals left in the basket. There were still left the deer, antelope, all of the meat animals, turquoise, berries, corn, squash, etc. She ate some of the corn seeds for her lunch on the way to the west. She went on to Mesa Verde and to Ch Ostji. There is a pattern of the sun there, a sand painting. It is still there, and people pray to this sun, and no one can go there unless he has the right prayer. It is important because White Bead Woman made the sun pattern. It was made on a rock, and planted near there was a plant called black medicine, A's Lision, and a plant called big or large medicine, A's Co. These two medicines are used in many ways and for many things. She brought the plants with her from the east. If anything goes wrong on the earth, the pattern looks old, and if everything is well, the pattern looks new. The location of the pattern is not known. She planted oak trees further on. Near these she piled some rocks, a marker to tell the trail which she called Pilove Rocks. White Bead Woman continued on to Hopi Towers, and on to Gray Mountain, and on to the south side of Grand Canyon. She went right on until she arrived at the sea near the highest mountain in California, Mount Whitney. All of the people gathered around her when she arrived. All of the gods living near this area gathered, and some even came from the home of White Bead Woman to the east. On top of this mountain was a hogan. If you look there now, it is still there. If you should look at this hogan when things are going bad, then it will look old. If it looks new, then affairs in the world are going to be good. There are many things on the top of this mountain, such as turquoise, flints, black shining dirt, pollen, white bead, horses of stone, and many other things, all things that the medicine men made use of then and now can be found there. One of the gods picked up a boy and girl when they came from the east. He took them so that these children could be taught all the songs of the gods before they left the earth. White Bead Woman knew all of the songs which the rest of the gods did not. These children were to learn everything from her. The gods did not have soapweed in the west where they were, so they had a talk to decide what to use for soap in the ceremonies. The war twins, meanwhile, did not know there was going to be a sing for these children in order to teach them all of the sacred things the White Bead Woman knew. In fact, they did not even know that the children had been taken to the west. The gods finally decided to bury jet, flint, white bead, oyster shell, and turquoise so that a plant of soap would grow. They planted these things in the evening, and the sing was held over the boy and girl all during the night. The sing was held because these children had learned all from the White Bead Woman. They now could instruct the rest of the people while White Bead Woman was gone to the west. Dance was held now, and the gods danced over the side of these seed materials. These seeds soon began to grow. In the morning they dug up the yucca and were now ready to make soap. During the ceremony, they put plants underneath a basket, which were pinyon, cedar, evergreen, fir, spruce, and kinds of plants, but no pine. The basket was made of white bead like before, and was about the size of a marriage basket. At the time of the sing over the children, the war twins did not know that it was taking place, but they heard a rumor about it. The first twin started off with a friend, God Water Carrier. The first twin had gone to this friend and told him to go on a journey with him. This friend lived at White Water Fall. As they left on their trip, it started to rain. They were in this rain all the way down to California. When they got there, the rain went on past the hogan, and they went inside. Inside the hogan, the first twin asked his mother, "Why didn't you tell me you were here and that this ceremony was going on? Am I the wrong kind of a god? Why didn't you notify me? Aren't I entitled to be notified?" White Bead Woman answered her son, saying, "I know you have nothing to do or say about what is going on out here. That is why we did not notify you." Then the twin said, "Have these children learned all the power that they are going to learn?" These children were still earth people and not yet gods. Is there any more for them to learn? White Bead Woman said, "No, this is why we have picked these children. The people did not learn all of my power. I am going away with all the power, but now all of your earth people will know everything." The twins were gods, and there were also many gods all over the world. The war gods and the other gods at times were bad, disobedient, and not right. That is why she was so stingy with her knowledge. No one knew as much as she did about the ways of the world. After White Bead Woman had answered her son, he said, "It is fine that these children know all and have all the power. He asked another question. Did they learn the Good Way song? Did they learn all the songs of the 5 night sings? Did they learn the war songs? Did they learn the Yabash songs? Did they learn all the other songs? She answered, saying, It is all complete. All of these things have been learned. Now I do not have to worry about anything. They had all the power gained from knowing these things, for they were not gods, but humans. That night the people finished the singing. In the morning, gods decided to send the children back with the Navajo after they were to create them. White Bead Woman in the morning took dirt from her chest and made the figures of 2 people. From her back she took more dirt and molded 2 more figures. From her right palm she molded 2 more figures. From the left palm she took dirt and once again molded 2 small figures. From the right foot dirt was taken, and from the left more dirt and molded into figures. At last there were 12 small figures of humans, half of the figures women and half men. Each time White Bead Woman made the figures, she took her fingernail paring and the grease from her body along with the dirt to mold them. That is the reason we get so dirty. If she had not made Navajos from fingernail paring, this would not have happened. This is the reason why the Navajo get so dirty, in particular. It is the belief of the Navajo that dirt comes from the food which we eat, as we eat dirty things or salty foods especially. This dirt comes from the inside of the body from the things we eat. Because of this, the Navajo take sweat baths to make these wastes come from the pores. This is the reason the Navajo use the sweat bath so much, in order to get rid of the body wastes. When other people take a hot bath, if not a Navajo, it is for the same purpose. The people who were created were Navajo. The dirt had been taken and molded into figures like us, but very tiny. All of them were laid on the ground with a never bin, shot, buckskin put over the top, and with one on the bottom. These figures were prayed and sung over by the White Bead Woman, talking God and all of the other gods. After this was done, these small figures came to life and grew to full size. These people were to be called created, Navajo, Dene, Alia Iggy. These 12 people were then sent along with the 2 children to the east, where the gods had been in the beginning. After all this had happened, White Bead Woman continued to the west. From here are 2 stories, one to the west and one coming back to the east. We shall now follow the story to the west. White Bead Woman started off, and the gods went to places where they were to stay forever. Some of the gods went into the earth, some into the heavens, some into the mountains, and some into the water. These gods became settled and said, From now on no person shall see us again. On the other side of the gap there is a wall where there is a picture of a Yabash with a white face and feathers. If shows up good to the eye and is easily seen, there will be rain. If not, then there will be no rain. This represents the talking god, Yabash. He has 12 feathers on his head. When there is a Yabash dance, the others in the dance will have 2 feathers, and the last dancer has 12 turkey feathers and is calling God. This last man is the clown of the dance, and picks up anything that falls from the other dancers. He can do this, for he is the funny man, calling God is a clown, while talking God is always taking care of everyone.